Hello, it's Mayim again, and I'm here in my living room. And today I wanted to talk about something that actually my mom suggested I talk about. And it's been one of the hardest aspects of the situation in our world, and that is how to deal with older people. By older people, I mean how to deal with your parents, but this also extends to other people your parents' age or people who roughly are your parents' age that you may love or interact with or want to be of service to. There are some things that I've been thinking about and kind of wrestling with, and I thought I would talk it out with you all. I do not intend for this to be me complaining about old people. That's not what's going on. But the first thing I do want to talk about is the difficulty that certain people, some of whom gave birth to us, have with technology. Now, I want to be clear that although I have a PhD in neuroscience, I am incredibly tech challenged. I call myself 87 years old. Think of me as an 87-year-old, pretty much. So I'm really not one to talk, but I think what's so hard for me right now is that my mother grew up in a time when, well, she didn't learn to drive till she was well into her 20s. Her parents were immigrants from Eastern Europe. They didn't really speak English all that well. They lived in Yiddish-speaking communities. They never learned to drive a car. She didn't grow up in cars. So my mom's kind of like notion of like the technological world, even with things like that, is very, very different from mine. What I've noticed is that certain people of her generation have this general resistance to a lot of technology that comes very naturally to us. And especially things that involve a lot of different steps and having to remember things over and over or every time you log in. That's been a real challenge for my mom and for a lot of people. That's been going on for a while, but I feel like this situation has really kind of highlighted that. And it's highlighted my inability to manage my frustration around my mother's frustration. That's been something that I've really been working with. I did have an iPad that we were not using, and God bless my ex-husband. He helped my mom program it because I cannot do it. He helped my mom put Netflix on there, and we gave her Hulu, and we taught her how to FaceTime. And at first she was like, no, I can't do it. No, it's too hard. And now she loves it. The first day my mother had FaceTime, she FaceTimed me 6 times within 3 hours. She loves being able to see our faces, to see her grandkids. It's given her a lot of joy, and I'm so grateful that she's had the ability to master that technology. I guess I may as well admit that I don't even use an iPad and can barely use one when someone hands one to me. So I am one to talk. The second thing that's kind of been frustrating me, and I think might be frustrating you as well, is that my mother's desire to be independent is very, very strong, and that's bothering me right now. Obviously, parents raise us to be independent, and what I've heard from some people is that like every person is their parent's parent right now, like telling them what to do, telling them what not to do, and I'm totally doing that too. My mom is a very intelligent woman, but sometimes she does things where I'm like, are you serious right now? I try not to say that. And once she wanted to do something that was like kind of a questionable thing in terms of like her contact with the world a bit ago. And I was like, no, you can't do that. You're too old. She got sad. And I apologize. Like I didn't mean it like that, but I'm very protective of her. That's my anxiety. I'm very protective of her and I'm worried about her and I'm always bossy. I mean, I would say she raised me to be that way, but it is a very hard time to try and manage someone else's behavior. And I don't think that I should do that, but it's very hard. The third thing that I've realized is that our parents are scared, and people over 65 in particular are experiencing an isolation that is different from the way a lot of us are isolating. My mom, for example, is alone in her apartment, and getting her the iPad has really helped her. It's helped her with distraction. She's loving Schnitzel, of course. She's able to talk to my boys. That's great. But she can't even go to the bank and deposit a check. She can't go to the supermarket like she likes to. My mom's a very social person. She'll say she's not, but she is. She's an extrovert. She thrives on being and doing and going to her book clubs and all those things. And she takes classes at community college, and the kind of classes she takes are not really available online. And I need to have compassion for her, because that's a level of isolation that I can't even imagine. And I think a lot of her anxiety probably comes from that. And I know a lot of my anxiety comes from, again, trying to make it better for her. Another thing that I've noticed is that I feel very monitored by my mom. I don't know if anybody else is experiencing this. She's definitely a caretaker personality. That's awesome. That's who she is. But it's very much I think maybe it's called projecting. She's like, have you been outside today? Did you go outside? I'm like, yeah, I went outside. Have you exercised? Did you exercise today? I'm like, not yet. I hope to later. What are you eating? Are you eating okay? Do you want food from my freezer? And she's trying to take care of me, which I get, but it's intense. It can be intense because it may make her anxiety less, but it makes mine more, which is why I go to therapy. In all seriousness, I get her anxiety, and I get that it's not something I can necessarily fix, even if I want to. The final thing that I've noticed about my mom, and I think probably other people in her age bracket, is, my mom was always an amazing cook, and she's kind of a foodie, and she loves everything about food, and she eats really healthy. I mean, she always has. She eats really, really healthy. And especially when my dad, before my father passed away, she was really dedicated to providing the best diet that she could for his cerebellar condition and for what he was going through. And, my mom's we call it a balabusta. My mom's an old school, awesome, take care of the house, cook, clean, so she's that kind of woman. And she really, after she retired, it really became so much focused around the healthy food that she could prepare. My mom's the kind of person who reads up on which foods prevent against Alzheimer's, and then she'll put that in the fridge, and then they eat those foods, and that's kind of how she functions. But I've been trying to explain to my mom that her desire to eat all the colors of the rainbow at every meal, which I think is something she might do, that may need to shift right now. And I really want her to get that, and I don't want her to be upset about it. I had a conversation with my mother about how I really want her to just rethink her meal planning and just take it easy a little bit. I'm all the colors of the rainbow kind of foods. And she said, Mayim, I really, really get it. And I was like, okay, that's great. I'm really glad to hear that. And she's like, I mean, I'm out of mushrooms, but I think that I'm just going to have to be okay with it right now. Yes, Mom, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Love her to death. I told her that her need for fresh tomatoes might need to take a little bit of a break, meaning I'm happy if I have tomatoes that I get from my agricultural produce delivery. I'm happy to share tomatoes with her, but that she doesn't need to go online and order tomatoes from the market all the time, which she's not doing. I'm exaggerating to make a point, but she really does like a fresh tomato, and I told her that we may need to back off on having fresh tomatoes as much as she wants. Dealing with parents and people of a parental age is a very special challenge right now, and I think it highlights our anxiety. I think it highlights how much we want to control. I think it highlights, what's called the sandwich generation for those of us who have kids and also have parents and are trying to kind of bridge both sides of that in a way that we're all still learning to do one day at a time. My mom said the sweetest thing. I've been crying a lot. I'm just I cry a lot. And she said the sweetest thing. She was like, sometimes now I have a cookie with my tea. which is like something she wouldn't normally do, you know, but she was like, it's just like something nice for myself. So yeah, I'm really glad that my mom is having cookie with her tea. And it reminded me that like I can break open that box of cookies that are in my cupboard too. Please take care of yourselves. Be safe. Please listen to what our officials are telling us. Stay away from people as much as you can. And I'll be here for you, walking through it with you. Thanks for watching. More videos to come. Take care.